this represents, just with the cleaning that I've done so far, the metal prep, and this first coat, I'd say we're in at least 15 hours easy. Now that I think about it, I never finished the interior of the car. I was supposed to do POR 15 on the roof, and this has been a thorn in my side, but in this channel up here that you can barely see in video, there's a bunch of rust that keeps getting stuck in there, like when I kind of break stuff loose. So I'm actually gonna pump up my little tiny air compressor over here. I'm gonna try to blow that all out, and then I'm gonna POR 15 on that, finally. So I'll be mostly done with the interior. At least I'm getting something done. All right, well, I cleaned up the interior a little bit. I vacuumed up some of that loose glass media stuff that was blowing around. And then I got it dirty again. But I cleaned this up a little bit, you know, still obviously looks like crap, but I used some of the cleaner on it just to get the loose stuff off of it. I pretty much have it ready for POR 15. I still don't really know what I'm going to do with that just yet. Those little spots, they're not like structurally really going to make any difference. So I'm thinking about just POR 15 on it and then just call it good. I mean, one of these days I'm going to actually restore this thing for real, but this is more like a daily driver restoration or something like that. So I'm not super worried about it. That seems like a very common refrain of mine. I'm not super worried about it, because I'm not really worried about this thing being super nice and winning trophies or whatever. I just want to be able to drive this without worrying about it falling apart or breaking in half or something. So that's pretty much where I'm at on it. All right, I finally got the ceiling roof area done with the POR 15. If you want to take a look at that real quick. Nice and shiny, all black. And I got the floor already done. I just wiped it down again because now I am going to attempt to lay down some of the sound deadening that I have. Please excuse the mess, but this is what I got. I think I showed this a while back, one of the earlier videos. This is, I think, the thickest actual like shield deadening stuff, thermal shield sound deadening that I could find. And this is actually, I think it's like 36 square feet rolled up in here. And I'm hoping that'll be enough. Based off of everything that I've seen, that'll be more than enough. I'm not really gonna go super crazy like some people do. I'm undecided on whether I'll do any on the top. I have heard that, you know, it's pretty annoying to leave it like this because it's just really rattly and kind of echoes and stuff. But I'm gonna start off with the floorboards, kind of just test it out, just do some of the straighter sections in here and get used to it. And hopefully I can get this all applied without too much drama. And we have some progress here. It's a little sloppy. As you can see, I kind of puzzle pieced some stuff together. I'm gonna kind of make up the difference in some of those gaps with some aluminum tape, like actual duct tape that they use for air conditioning, that kind of thing. I got a little bit better as I came over here to the driver's side, which, you know, that's the side that matters. So I got a little better at laying it in, kind of, I don't know, just took a little bit of experience, you know. I need to do a little trial run, but I'll get it looking pretty good. I think I'm just gonna go pretty much back to, you know, roughly there. I'm not really, like I said, I'm not gonna go crazy with it. I haven't decided whether I'm gonna do the top yet or not, but we'll start here. Maybe after this I'll actually start trying to figure out how I'm gonna do the carpet. But man, things are really starting to come together, man. This is pretty cool. All right, need to kind of cut something to size here. I need to have an angle. eyeballing it. Kind of have a method to the madness. Need a little more of an angle. Nice. Peel off the back. Kind of try to half-ass line it up. And then stick it. It's nice to have these little triangles for these big gaps. Just peel that off. Stick around here. Not too horrible. So I think that's about as good as I'm gonna go. Maybe I'll put a little more around the shifter area, fill in a couple gaps here and there, but that's pretty much what I'm gonna leave it as. It's a lot better than the factory was already, I can tell you that much. It's been a couple days. I did finish the soundproofing stuff that I put on the floor. I actually did a lot more than that. Well, it definitely looks like a lot more. I haven't really had a lot of time, so the time that I do get, I'm really just hustling to get as much progress done as I can. So I didn't record this last part, but I'm gonna show you what it looks like, and I'm gonna explain what I did, and hopefully it makes sense, and maybe it'll help you out when you do it yourself. But this is what it looks like now. I have carpet in here. I did what I said and kind of just went up to that line. It's not perfect. There's probably a couple things I'd do a little bit different if I had to do it again. But just want to go over the basic blow by blow on what I did. This stuff is called Azite. I'm pretty sure I already explained that, but I'm going to show you what the roll looks like really quick. I'm sorry, my shop is a mess. As you can see, there's literally just stuff everywhere. I have like 3 different projects going on at the same time. But this is what the carpet looks like. It comes in, I think you can just, I don't know if you can order it by the yard or not. I can't remember now. It's been a minute since I did this, but this whole roll cost me like $45 or something, maybe 50 bucks. And well, I got it from A1 Foam and Fabrics, apparently. But this stuff is really thin. It kind of reminds you of like trunk carpet, you know, it's like just that more thin fabric. A lot of people say if you use this, you probably want to use floor mats on top of it because it's not super durable. This stuff is really lightweight and it's really easy to kind of like stretch and form to your floorboard. Mine is not perfect. It's got a couple spots that are stretched a little too tight, so they're not glued down very great, if at all, in some spots. This whole length is, I think it was 6 feet and 10 inches or something. And basically I just used the whole length. That's going to be like from one side of the car to the other side of the car. And then I did about 4 feet or whatever. So let's go back down. I read somewhere that a good general rule of thumb is to basically measure what it is from here to there on the other side and then put an extra foot on either side. So measure from right there to the other side, add basically 2 feet. And that'll be more than enough to, you know, go up and down and over stuff and make sure you have enough, essentially. So I laid it down in here and I just kept cutting in the middle there, like where the dash comes down to meet the tunnel. And I kind of just started cutting like a V shape into it a little bit so I can just slide it up to where I needed it going up towards the firewall. So I kind of cut that and I got it generally how I wanted it. Just, you know, in here, kind of cut like all the extra where there's too much, cut like little hole for the dimmer switch or headlights, whatever it's called. But I got it all where I need it, and I ended up, let's see, I got light in my hand, so This bottom piece, the first piece that I put in, actually comes to about right here. So there's a little bit of overlap right here, but that's what I wanted to do. So I got it cut roughly how I wanted it. Then I used some glue. Where is that at? Yeah, this is what I used. It's that Pro Stick 65. I've heard of people using other stuff and having a little better luck. So if I had to do it again, I probably would use what they use. I think it's like that DAP or DAP, whatever it's called. They use something from that company that supposedly works pretty good. This stuff does dry really quickly, and I've heard that you're supposed to spray the back of the carpet with the glue, and then you're supposed to spray the whole floorboard part that you want with the glue also. And that's what I did. And the first time, I didn't spray it with water or anything. I just put it on there, and I didn't push down really hard right away. I kind of just got it to where I want it, and then I started like smoothing it out from the middle going back out towards the outside of the car. And I got it pretty good. It's just the glue dries really quickly. It's really tacky right off the bat. The carpet just wants to stick to itself all the time, so that's frustrating. Then the second part is basically it starts right here. And the reason, obviously, why I overlapped it here is because this is where the seat's going to be. So the seat's going to be here. There's overlap here. This is going to be covered with, it's like a metal piece. I can't remember what that's called, but it's just like a little metal panel that covers that. So you won't even really see it. It's going to be covering the side. The seat's going to be covering the seam here. The console is going to be there. Obviously, eventually, there will be another seat and a metal piece on the other side. So this seam should be pretty much invisible because of where I put it. And then it's just continuous all the way back to right there on the panel where it starts going up. And eventually I'm gonna figure out something to cover that whole section. I just kind of want to leave it right there because I haven't fully decided what I'm gonna do about that just yet. But regardless, even if I just kind of cover it with some carpet right there, the back seats would cover that seam also. So when it's all finished, you're not going to see any seams in here. And like I said, it's not perfect. There's a couple spots like right here, like it's like stretched and it's like trying to tack, but it's stretched a little too tightly. It is a challenge, you know, getting these big curves like the tunnel, and then like this section right here, like where there's a lot of stuff just going on, like it's hard. But this second piece was actually not as bad because I used another technique that I found, which is just spraying it with some water. You don't want to like soak it or anything, but get it so it's damp kind of. And then basically I believe that it pretty much just helps the glue stay a little more liquid, and it kind of helps mold the carpet a little bit. And then I also used a heat gun. So the heat gun is kind of doing the same thing, and I believe it just makes the glue a little more liquid, you know, and you can start pushing it down and it kind of like cools off and then it dries, sticking to what you want it to stick to. So that second piece worked out pretty decently. I had the practice from the first one. Everyone says to start with the front piece, but honestly, if I had to do this again, I'd probably just get my good practice with, you know, this one over here, the rear one, and then move on to this, because this is hard to get good. Like this section, I would have gone up a little bit further, because, you know, for obvious reasons, I would go up a little bit further, at least on the left. Like it kind of ended up a little wonky, and then this stupid emergency cable is kind of further away from it's more towards the middle of the car than I'd like it. So there's a couple little things, you know, just I learned from my mistakes, but I would do it slightly differently if I had to do it again. That's all I'm saying. But overall, it looks pretty good. I really can't complain about it at all. And I'm already moving on to a couple of other things to try to get this a little closer to completion. This is another thing. This is going to be a different video because this is going to be its own process altogether. And this is a warning for anyone who is hoping that I do some sort of like restoration, like, you know, original restoration. Obviously, I've already ruined that. I've already ruined it. Sorry, guys. I've ruined this car. I have the driver's side A-pillar trim right here. And as you can see, this is pretty messed up, guys. Like, you know, it's got scratches. It's got tar from the windshield just stuck on there. Like, it's not in great shape to begin with. So maybe that'll ease your mind a little bit if you're really crying about the trim being destroyed or whatever. But what I'm gonna do is, and a lot of times you see this, people will just basically stick this on here with some screws and then they just walk away. They're like, all right, this is done. So I'm gonna put this triple pillar gauge pack on here, and I'm going to go the extra steps though, and I'm going to use epoxy to basically seal this to the pillar or to the trim, and I'm gonna smooth it all out. I'm gonna make this all one color, and hopefully when I'm done with it, it's gonna look like it was supposed to be like that. That's my goal with this. So even though I'm ruining this precious interior trim, I'm gonna be making it look good. So it's gonna be destroyed and looking good being destroyed. At least that's the goal. Beyond that, let's see, I have the trim, the seats. Oh, so that's another thing. So I'm gonna do that after I get done yapping here. I'm gonna take this seat over here, and I've decided I'm just gonna shoot it with the SEM stuff, SEM, whatever it's called, and I'm gonna make this match the rest of the interior of the car. Because now that it's getting closer to being done, and I'm actually like, wow, this looks decent, I'm not super stoked on having this be like weirdly off from the rest of it. So I'm gonna get that the same color. Okay, I have this pretty much messed up, about as much as I'm gonna do. I still need to do that, and I guess I'll cover that little tag there. But yeah, I'm not really worried about this either behind, because this is supposed to be up, obviously. But I'm just gonna spray it and spray and pray, I guess. I'm just really hoping I don't ruin the seat. It's not like these are terribly expensive, but it's expensive enough that I might shed a tear or two if I ruin it. But I don't think that's gonna happen. All right, I just ran out of paint. I thought one can would be enough for this entire seat. I don't think that it was a full can to start with, so maybe one can works, but yeah, I definitely ran out. I just ordered a few more on Amazon, so I'll have to pick back up on this, but I can already tell this is gonna be so much better. I just couldn't live with it being that far off in color. So these obviously do not bolt in directly into this car. And I'm gonna get right into a couple issues here that I had that I had to kind of work around in order to come up with a solution for this. Part of the reason why it's kind of hard to put aftermarket seats in a Javelin is the floor shape. As you can see, kind of right here, it curves down quite a bit. And it actually bolts. See, you can see where these little divots are right there. That's where the bolts on the back of the sliders actually go into the floor. And then the other two are just here at the top, right before this ridge kind of goes down where your feet go. So that's an issue. A lot of aftermarket seats are pretty simple because it's just flat, and you know, you can just, everything just goes in so much easier. So I was kind of faced with the dilemma of whether I should make new sliders or mounts that go into the bottom of the floor here, or if I should just keep the factory sliders and then figure out how to adapt them to the seat. My first thought was to use the new aftermarket sliders because they're new and they don't need to be reconditioned or anything like that. But when you start getting into like the angles and geometry of all this stuff, it's actually a lot harder to figure out than to just make an adapter. So I took these seats. There was a sliders on here originally. That's these right here. There's nothing really wrong with them or anything. It's just, yeah, trying to make that work with like a custom mount is just too difficult for me. So I took those off. It has existing bolts here that just screw into the bottom which is like, you know, just flat into the bottom, which makes things really easy actually. So I'm probably gonna end up replacing these possibly with longer ones or whatever works, and you know, put some washers on it or whatever. But these will bolt directly to the old sliders with the adapter that I kind of came up with. So originally I was a little concerned because I thought there'd be like too much overlap from like where the original sliders are to the mounting points of the new seats. So I had to kind of like plot out everything and see where everything's at, and it's really only like just over an inch of overlap over the original sliders. I got these painted, figured I'd just show that really quick. They look pretty good. Turned out pretty decent. Had to break them loose, knock them around a couple times, and spray it down with some degreaser and everything, but they're moving decently now. I'm probably gonna spray them down with some sort of lubricant, you know, keep them nice sliding shape. But yeah, turned out pretty nice. Happy about that. Okay, it's been a minute here. I'm still making progress with the interior, trying to get things correct, and here in the next few days I'll actually probably make a decent amount of progress. I actually just picked up this, which is my plastic wrapped brackets that I got cut. I actually just went ahead and found a company to cut them for me. They have like a water cutting service. So yeah, I mean, between Ivan moving further away and COVID and all that stuff, it just made more sense to have somebody do it for me. It wasn't even really that expensive. It was 30 bucks, like with taxes and everything included, so I consider that pretty good. So I'm just gonna go ahead and open this, take a look at it. These should resemble my plastic piece that I have, and well, it appears that it is. I don't know how they have this wrapped in here exactly, but let's take a look, shall we? So one thing I would maybe recommend if you're gonna go a similar route as I did with this whole thing, and you're making your own custom brackets, I recommend not doing a 1/4 inch thick plate. I think I went a little overkill on that. This stuff is like sturdy, and this whole piece right here probably weighs like 25 or 30 pounds. Like, I mean, that's for all 4 brackets and then whatever metal is left over, I guess, but yeah, it was not light. Let me just do this the most difficult possible way. Back here and unwrap it about 800 times. Okay, so yeah, they basically just gave me the scrap with it too. But yeah, this is pretty accurate. I added on, I don't know if I even mentioned that in a video yet, but I added on an inch of material to the finished piece, because as you can see, the hole was like really close to the end, and it probably didn't really make any difference. It's just a little more aesthetically pleasing to have this extra material here. It makes it look a lot more symmetric and everything. So yeah, hopefully this is right, because these holes look like they're a little bit further apart, so that's concerning. Guess we'll find out. I have the plates put in place right now for the seat. Basically all I have to do is try to drop it in on the sliders that I've already loosely placed in here. Let me jimmy the door open. So I basically just gotta set them down on here. See how that looks. Sorry about all the background noise. They're doing some construction or something out there, and it's just a little crazy right now. But yeah, I'm gonna pop these on here and I'm gonna see if it fits. I am a little worried because the holes don't look the same as they did on my little mock-up that I did, but about to find out. Well, much to my surprise, things seem to be lining up, so I'm gonna take everything back out and I'm gonna try to basically put the sliders on first, then adapters or some combination of that, and I'm gonna try to get this a little more permanent, and I'm gonna throw it back in here, and yeah, hopefully everything looks good. Another thing that I did, I'm trying to get as close as I can to this, but There's I put some washers underneath a new bolt for this, so I'm not using the bolts that came with the seat for the part that actually bolts to the seat. I just went to the hardware store and got a hex head bolt that matches the size and got a little bit longer so I could fit some of these washers. There's like, I think 5 washers I put on there, and I don't think you really have to do this, but I'm trying to correct for the tilt of the seat, like from front to back, because it seems like the aftermarket one is just kind of putting your butt down a little bit further. So I'm trying to like kind of correct for it just a little bit, and it's really not a lot, as you can see. It's probably, you know, ½ an inch maybe, but I figured if I can correct that a little bit, then cool, and I can get it almost exactly how the factory is, or at least the seating position is. So I'm gonna throw these in here really quick and tighten it up, and well, hopefully you can get this solidified and good. First step you're gonna want to do is just take your sliders out. Don't put the brackets on the seat first, I'm finding. And basically just put your sliders on the bolts for the bracket here. This is probably also a good time to mention that I know the brackets are not painted, and they probably should be. I kind of just want to make sure everything's going to work out exactly how it should before I even paint them. I probably will take them back out at some point and just paint them black really quick, or just shoot some clear on it. I'm not really worried about it, as most things with this car. I just want it to be functional. So that's what we're going to focus on right now, is just making sure this is functional. One more thing you're going to want to do here, there's some washers that are usually on the slider already. I basically just took those and then one of the washers that I had and popped it underneath there, because if you don't do that, you won't leave enough clearance for the bracket for the slider here in the middle, and it'll actually push down on that and it'll bend the steel plate down when you tighten it. So I just made it enough space here with these washers that that wouldn't be an issue, and everything's okay. These bolt tops, they're not super, or these bolt studs I should say, are not very long, but these nuts here with the flanged top here, they actually thread more than 3 or 4 times, so they should be fine. Okay, so I have the sliders on the brackets. Everything looks to be good. The only thing I could say about my design so far is that well, I guess I already said it, but this 1/4 inch thick plate is kind of unnecessary. I think you do just fine with 1/8 inch thick, as long as it's steel plate like this. This is a 36 or something steel, I believe. I'd have to double check that. But yeah, this is like overkill, and also it weighs a lot. I bet you this is adding on probably 6 or 7 pounds just with these plates in here, maybe 6 pounds. But anyways, getting back to installation notes here. Just at this point, make sure you have the linkage for your sliders connected. It's the easiest time to do it is when one side is loose still and you can pop it in there without having to bend that rod that connects the 2 sides. I don't know if you can really see it super well, but that's the rod right there. Make sure that's connected. Make sure your springs are on here and they're all where they need to be. And then also make sure your sliders are in the same position forward and back right now. So when you put it in there, it's not like, you know, giving you a hard time because it's all wonky. This slider right here, the handle, is kind of like pressed somewhat tightly against the seat. It's not really an issue. It's just, you know, aesthetically could be a little bit better. You probably could just bend the handle a little bit if it really bothered you that much. It doesn't bother me a whole lot, so I'm probably not going to mess with it. But let me drive with this in the car for a year, and I'll tell you how annoying it is or isn't. Okay. All right, it's in there. It doesn't work though. Well, my sliders are inoperable. I think I might have, I don't know, maybe I need more spacers or something, but it's in here, and it's actually at the correct seating position for me, so there's like not a lot to complain about here. I do need to figure out that slider situation though, eventually. And I think this is about as far back as it goes. I did inset the bolts, so this could be closer to the factory setting. I don't remember there being a ton of adjustability in front to back to begin with, so that's probably a thing. This is like probably about as far forward as I would want to be. I guess we'll see where the brake pedal actually sits when everything's all good. Hopefully it'll be back just a little bit. If it's all the way forward, that's good. I don't think it would be, but that would be a problem. Thankfully I have a tilt column too, so I can get in and out a little bit. The bolsters on the seat are a thing. You know, these are pretty serious bolsters, so keep that in mind when you're deciding on aftermarket seats, because I mean the sides go out quite a bit, so you kind of have to move forward just a little bit in order to fit in properly. And obviously even the lower supports here are higher than on the original seats. The original seats are pretty much just flat on the bottom. So I think I figured out what the issue is with the sliders. At some point during this process, I lost 2 of the washers, or the nuts that goes onto the bottom of the car, like underneath. And when I tightened them down, it kind of put them at an angle slightly. I did just the outside bolts on the back. There's 2 on each side. So I think that by doing that, I kind of cocked them a little bit, so it's not really wanting to slide as properly as it should. And I also probably need some more washers to get it up off the carpet just a little bit, because it's kind of like sinking down into the carpet. So yeah, those are probably going to be a couple things I need to do. So just basically more washers, and then I need to try to find those nuts or get replacements for those, and then this should work properly. But I'm pretty happy with it for now. At least I can sit in the car and I can make vroom vroom noises and pretend like I'm doing stuff. And just seeing the seat in the car just really, it helps the old motivation a little bit, you know? Just seeing that in there, it's like, it's in there. I can actually sit in that and I'm not gonna like fly into the back seat area or anything. So pretty cool. That's one thing down for now. We'll kind of just leave it as it is until it gets closer to being actually on the road. But the next big thing, I have my shifter finally, and that's gonna be really awesome. I can't wait to get the shifter. It's the killed off shifter, as I mentioned before. I'll show you what kind it is as soon as I get it. I'm gonna do a separate video for the unboxing part of that, and then I'm gonna do the rest as part of this video. The console is definitely rough. It's seen better days. I'm not totally sure what I want to do with the console just yet, but I'm going with an aftermarket shifter, and it's gonna look kind of wonky in here because this is like really shallow right here but deeper over here, and the shifter I want sticks up like 4 inches, so it's gonna be sticking up more in the back than it is, I mean more in the front than it is in the back. So I'm gonna kind of adapt that hole to make it fit better and all that. I'm gonna get this painted, and hopefully it'll look good. I'm not totally sure if I'm gonna do this whole thing in matte black or if I'm gonna go back to tan or some weird combination of the two, but it's gonna get fixed up. I'm gonna make this look better, and it's gonna go back in the car eventually. So yeah, this is my crude marking that I made. I just used a permanent marker. Everything about this shifter is like kind of weird, geometrically speaking. Like this whole thing is not like a perfect trapezoid. It's like smaller on the bottom, wider at the top. So that's how this hole is too. Smaller at the bottom, wider at the top. So in order to actually make it square like the shifter itself, it fits in there like this, and it's kind of clocked over to the left here just a little bit, and kind of makes a weird angle right there. But I'm gonna try to basically cut that out, maybe a little on the short side. Try to do it as straight as I can. I'm not really skilled with a grinder, but I'm gonna give it a shot, and I think I'll get it to look okay. I'm just gonna probably have to sand it down and make it a little more square and all that, but I'll get it looking good. Okay, so I have basically like a Dremel here that I'm going to use. Just start off really small and see how that works. If it doesn't really work, I'll move up in size, but I have a good feeling this will be okay. I'm actually going to cover this stuff too, because I'd like to, you know, not cause any damage to my sweet Goodwill furniture. See, it's 1 through 6. Start on like 5. This way, I think. Probably should be using gloves. Man, like butter. I now have mesothelioma. So let's see. Well, guess that was easy, huh? Okay, as you can see, not the cleanest job ever, but not horrible. Let's see if that shifter fits in that notch, shall we? So it looks like I need to take out just a little bit more on this side here. And then I also forgot I marked out this right here. I'm gonna notch that and kind of get rid of that little chunk right there to kind of make it more flush in the back. Well, Randy's here, just got off of work. But I did a lot more trimming and cutting. The way that I had it originally was making it clocked kind of to the left, and it was the way that the whole console looks, it was just, the whole thing was just like, and it looked really weird. And I just kept cutting and sanding and everything until I could get it moved to the right as much as possible, and it's pretty much perfectly straight in there. And that's about as far as you can possibly go to the right because of kind of how this is shaped in the front, like I was saying. So luckily it goes back down just a little bit right here, and that's as far as it's gonna go. But it looks good. Basically now is just prepping the console and getting it painted. And then Randy and I were actually just talking about how, you know, we can get some sort of leather or rubber here maybe on the sides and kind of just trim it up to make it look seamless. You know, get some black leather of some type, maybe something like that. I don't know what I'm gonna do with the top just yet. I don't really like the console lid, and it's warped and it just looks like crap. So I'm probably just gonna finish this, make it look nice, and then maybe do some sort of retrofit cup holder situation or something. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Maybe I'll just keep it open. The shifter fits in there, and I didn't ruin the ability to put everything back to factory. So if you're a purist, you can stop crying now. Dang, Randy, you look like you're ready to drive that thing. All right, guys, so I'm gonna leave off here. This is pretty much the end of the interior stuff for the time being. But I'm gonna do a separate video on doing this console and kind of that whole process. So I'll probably just put the last piece of what I just did in that video so people aren't confused or whatever. But everything's in there. You can actually sit in this thing. So like I said, I can make vroom vroom noises. So now I'm pretty happy. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, like the video, leave a comment, subscribe. Take it easy, guys. Later.